something. And Wayne has a great book, and he has classes, and he's got all about how to make your profile better. A lot of background. So I really recommend that. But if you just want to boil it down, this is sort of an executive summary thing. If you want to boil down LinkedIn fast and you really want to, you want to take an hour and you want to say, I need to get more connections, then this is for you. Okay. So what I've done is I've created a little class and we're going to talk about that today. Okay. So let's hit some. Why do you want to grow? Well, a friend of mine came to me and he said, I want to get a job. And I said, great. I said, are you on LinkedIn? He said, no, I don't think so. And he's been a vice president for years, for years and years, at a big company. I think it's publicly traded. Not sure, but I think so. So he's got a great reality about what he's doing. And yet he's not there. Nobody knows about him. So we sat down and we talked about things on his profile, and we got that done. Oh, good. I'm getting this. This OBS is the nuts because every window changes and all this stuff changes, and it's really crazy. But anyway, so oh, that's a way I could fix. No, don't start fixing stuff. I could fix this other thing so you don't see that just in OBS if I really wanted to. But, so now he's got 60 or 70 connections and hasn't really worked at it too hard. Not hard enough if you ask me. I have another guy who was an attorney and he didn't even have a profile. He never logged into LinkedIn. And all of a sudden not only did he get 60 or 70 connections right off the bat, but he got a couple of people writing him saying they needed legal work. Cool. How about that? But maybe you've had one of my former clients registered. So I hope you're on here. And it's like, do you need this? Do you need a big bunch of LinkedIn prospects? Well, maybe it's time that you're giving back to the industry, like I'm trying to do. Trying to do speeches and I'm trying to, articles, and it's frustrating when you put your heart into an article and you get, 50 views. You think, what's the point of this? And it doesn't matter if you have your own website. I post some of the articles on my own website. I post them on Facebook pages. I post them on Twitter. I post the links to them. I post them on here. I've got a blog spot. I've got, all these places. You can find my stuff all over the place. But I kind of haphazard about it. So you can't find all of it anywhere as far as I know. But the biggest thing is now I put up even just a post about something that I feel strongly about, GDPR or something like that. And I put up something, and all of a sudden now I'm getting 500 views, or 1,000 views. It's like magic. I had a friend who wrote for Forbes, and you think, wow, what? In fact, she wrote me yesterday. It was great. We exchanged messages on Twitter, and I mentioned that she hadn't written. Well, when she first went on Forbes, she got like 4,000, 5,000 views, because they must have promoted her as a new author, and it just kept going down, and she did that for about 2 years. Great articles, too. Great articles. Lois Geller, really great. If you want to find some good information about marketing and direct marketing, go on Forbes and find her articles. But, every one she wrote, it got fewer and fewer views because they didn't promote it. And the same thing happened with me. My very first article on LinkedIn, I got 2,000 views right off the bat. And then, I've got a couple more that are up in the 1,000 range, I suppose. But most of them, unless I promote it, they don't get much of anything. So the LinkedIn has really helped me in my promotion. But the other interesting part is that in LinkedIn, the more connections you have, the more second-level connections you have. And it's like 10 times. So if you have 100 first-level connections, you then have 1,000 second-level connections. And you can kind of pick and choose, and you can invite them if you want. And but when you're more deliberate about it, and when you get more, now I have, 7 million second and third level connections or something. But what's happening is that I've been more deliberate looking for direct marketing, direct mail, CEO, CFO, CMO, vice president of marketing kind of level. Now, what's happening is as someone connects with me, then one of their friends sees me and says, "Oh, somebody really important connected with John, so I should connect with John." And so all of a sudden the level of my connections has gone way up. And I'm getting really nice, I'm getting much more interaction, much nicer interaction, because LinkedIn is basically wired to connect the connectors really well. And so if you're just sitting around waiting for LinkedIn to figure out that you're important, maybe it's time to get involved. So 2 weeks ago to the day, I spoke in Minneapolis. Spoke on the golden age of mail. There's my picture. While I have a video available if you'd like to see it. Write me and I'm happy to share it. But I'm not quite sure what to do with it because I've done it as a keynote a couple of times now, three times, and it kind of kicks digital in the head on purpose. And so, I don't want to get people mad at me about it, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna go over here and just look and make sure I'm streaming still. Yeah, it looks like I am. Okay, that was just a little move it aside. Okay, so here I am. So anyway, I decided to go up to Minneapolis for a postal seminar on 2 weeks ago, Thursday, the 26th of July. And I called one of my friends up there in the postal service, and I said, if you can get me a room, I'll do a talk on mail. Because he's always asking me, when are you going to come up and do one in Minneapolis again? So I said, okay. So he got one, and Friday we had confirmation that it was all set. So we had 3 working days. Friday afternoon we get confirmation. 3 working days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, to invite people. And it was hosted by a company that's a bunch of millennials, and they're great young people. I was calling everybody young people. But it was like, how could he possibly get anybody to come in 3 days, to come to a presentation? And so I sent out, when I started talking in Minneapolis, I had 100 first level connections last fall. And then I spoke in April, and I spoke last fall once, December. I spoke in April, and I spoke again in July. And now I have probably close to 1,000, 10 times. So it's easier to invite people. I mean, there's more people to invite. And I invited direct mail. I looked in the description, and that's in the course. How I did it is a little bit fun. This is not highly automated. I'm not selling any software, although I'm working on some. But it's been challenging. I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to get that stuff. Anyway, so they called back Bob at the Postal Service, and they said, John just put up 200 or 300 new connections. How did he do that? How does somebody put up 200 connections in a day? Well, that's what the course is about. Anyway, so we filled the room, and it was a lot of fun. And they wouldn't let me leave. They asked questions for like an hour after the 45-minute speech. And then we went out to a bar, and we talked for 2 or 3 more hours. And they were still talking about direct marketing, how powerful it is, and all this stuff, which is pretty amazing, right? I think it is. Anyway, I hope you do. But anyway, the point is you can just do that stuff. If you're going to go to LA or something, you say, well, let's see who's there. Let's go meet people. And that's the way you can do it. So it's a great way to meet social contacts. I think I tried Twitter. I've got 4,000 almost. I got over 4,000 followers on Twitter, but mostly they don't interact with me. Some great people follow me though. Some really big time people follow me on Twitter. It's kind of funny. But LinkedIn has been the best. LinkedIn has been the most interactive. Um, and now, because I have been at this a little while, um, I can go to any company really in America at least, and if I'm looking for the vice president of marketing, they're a second level connection. I can invite them to connect, and I've gotten some really really big connections. Okay, so it's just a great thing. But the problem most of us have is we just don't have enough connections. And so I started doing LinkedIn in 2003. I was one of the first 50,000 on LinkedIn. I don't know how many, probably a billion now or some crazy number. But it was really hard because it's like having the first telephone. Who do you call? I would look people up and they weren't there. Nobody was there. I was the only one. And so, and then I took a class, Wayne's class, Wayne Breitbarth. I'm getting it down. I mean, I don't know if you can say my last name either, Wayne. So I don't feel totally terrible. But I went to a couple of classes of his. I think three live go and visit and listen classes. And I learned, one of the big things I learned that most people don't know is that when you first level connect, you essentially opt in to conversation, but also your first level connection emails are available to you. They're hard to find. It's in the course how to find them, but they're there. It's hard to do. Now the problem I ran into, and you'll see this when I look and show you the graph, is that every time I do it, I get a couple unsubscribes. I think I got maybe a dozen or so, maybe 2 dozen. I had really good performance this last try inviting you guys. But I had, when I had 1,500 connections and you'd lose 2 dozen each time, you start getting depressed. And I tried to supplement that with pop-ups on my websites and different things like that. And I think they're still working. I'm not sure if they even work anymore. But I never got one email from a pop-up. And I don't put my email in very often in a pop-up either. Although there's this great little one-page how to make sure your marketing database is working or something like that. 5 tips for your marketing database. It's really I did pretty good. I think it was pretty good. But anyway, so I was gradually losing more and more connections because of unsubscribes, which is fine. If you're not interested, you're not interested, But I thought, well, then I got to a point where I didn't want to do any more promotions because I didn't want any more unsubscribes. Well, that's kind of sad, especially if you want to make an impact. So I knew something had to change. I knew I had to grow. Here's when I took Wayne's class, 2012, and you can see I put up 500 or so connections in 2012. But then I kind of coasted, went over onto Twitter. And I tried YouTube videos. I did a bunch of YouTube videos in 2013. I think there's about 30 of them out there on my channel. And you can see, I was kind of coasting. I have, nothing great. 2017, the cumulative here is about 1,700 at the end of 2017. Maybe it was 1,500, if I added these up. But, it just wasn't doing it. And so I decided, okay, we're going to get serious about making an impact, and I'm going to use LinkedIn. And so that's kind of what the class is about. So it talks about, this overview is actually kind of in there. Although, it's funny because in the last week, 2 weeks, well, it was in a space of about 4 days when I went up to Minneapolis 2 weeks ago. I put up 2,500 or something. That can't be right. 250. I put up 250 new connections in a week. And I said to myself, this is really something. A lot of my important connections don't have 250 connections at all, and they should, but they don't know how to get through the clutter. you know, and this does really fast. So anyway, I go over that. I go over the overview, but I did it a couple months ago. I did it back first quarter because I had had so much success in December, January, February, and March on LinkedIn. But it's continued. Anytime I want to add a couple of hundred, I just do the same thing. And in 40 days, I added 1,000. So, and you can do it. I've done it locally in cities I want to work in, but you can also do it remote. I've had almost as good a success remotely. So that's what it's about. 5 training videos, invitations, how to fix up your profile. I mean, it's about reality. But like I say in there, if you've never written an article, I had a manager friend who, his profile had nothing on it. I said, "Why don't you write an article?" He said, "I've never written an article." I said, "Well, just, you've got 20 years of working with people, how to deal with difficult people. 5 tips for managing diversity." I don't know. Make something up. Look around. There's articles coming out all the time. How to hire good people. Do an article. And if you really want to cook it, then do a presentation. And when I started WDMA, I resurrected it. It's been around since '86, but I resurrected it in 2016. We would have meetups and one person would show up. And we'd have a beer and we'd talk direct marketing. That's okay. There's no huge downside to that. That's how I've got it structured now. But the last one, there was almost 30 people. Okay, because we're doing better because of all these things, right? So, it's not about how to fix your profile. There's so many articles, there's so many books on how to fix your profile. There's some stuff on how to invite, though, and that's important because not 5% of the invitations I get are any good. They just hit connect. Would you like to connect with this person? Well, why would I? Why would you want to connect with me? And one thing to note, you give access to your connections when you connect. So if it's a spammer in some country that we won't mention, you've just given your connections to them. Okay? Second level, but now they can reach out to all of those guys. So you have to be a little thoughtful about it. I'm more than a little thoughtful about connection invitations I get. Okay? You should be too. Okay? And that's, we talk about that a little bit. On the other hand, I had somebody tell me all of my connections are organic. And I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean? Does it mean it's only your friends from church? I was growing a company pretty good, one point, and I kept trying to just hire friends from church. It's not. It may not. It's a strategy. It may not be the best strategy. You might want to have a wider pool than that. Friends in the PTA or whatever. You might want to get beyond that a little bit. Okay, and there's specific action steps and specific implementation steps. So, I don't use premium. Everybody thinks I do. Everybody says, you must be using premium. No, I'm not. I did use for the first try at this because they were limiting the searches and I didn't know what they were doing. And this is why I give 120 days on the course because so you're paying for 120-day access because I'm planning to update it again. And I have to update it every quarter or so, at least every 6 months because they change stuff. They move it around. You got to do new screenshots. And so I don't want it to be out there forever. I don't want people to be able to access forever when it's not good information. Oops, hit the microphone. Okay, so but I don't use premium. They've changed. I think I'm not running into the. It used to be I'd run into it in the 3rd or 4th day of the month. I haven't run into it. There is a 30-day trial. That's kind of what kicked me off. I said, well, there's a 30-day premium trial, so I better get busy in 30 days. Now, unfortunately, I did it like the 4th of December or the 10th or something. So it was the holidays and New Year's and all this stuff. and you're busy, and I probably only spent 3 days really doing anything and still got 1,000 connections. So, this really works. And we already talked about why you want to do it. So it's $149, but I put a coupon code up there for 20% off. It's only 90-day access. Sorry. It's a good thing I have slides to keep me on the straight and level. You can email me, john@issm.org or wdma.org or migmar.com. Here's your code here. Write it down. MMI 1808. That's for August of 2018. Now, included in the course, because what happens is people want you to look at their profile. They want to tell you what they're doing and see if it makes sense, but most of it doesn't make sense. So, I charge more than $149. I mean, I charge more than that for 15 minutes often, okay? So, what I don't want to do, could you set up a conference call with me and we just talk? Yeah. Would I charge you? No. Okay, but it wouldn't be that much value for you or me. It'd be better off spending an hour or so. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half. I mean, it's really boiled down. Watch the class. I mean, buy the class, watch the class, do the stuff so that you get your hands dirty a little, then set up a call. And it'd be worth it because it's all boiled down. But in the course, I tell you, go get Wayne's book, and I don't know if he has online training or not, but I know he does some live webinars or he tapes his class sometimes, video, records it. Tape. What's tape anymore? What's vinyl? Yeah, it's okay. Okay, so finish the videos, and then we'll talk. Because if you're a retailer, there's different things you can do. If you're a consultant, different things you can do. There's different reasons why you build your profile and how you fit that in together. So we can work together. Where do you find the course? I should put a link. I'll put a link underneath this thing, but if you just go to issm.org, there's a big article that you'll see, big, and if you click on that article or whatever, if you scroll down in the article at the bottom, it registers. It's got the registration link, so it's really easy. issm.org. We don't have a landing page or anything. I mean, there is one, but it's easier just to go to issm.org. Why give you a big URL? And look for the LinkedIn class. There's another class for entrepreneurs that are tired. It's a great class, but that's $3,000. Okay, and it's 40 hours of videos or some crazy thing. And so I highly recommend it if you're an entrepreneur that's burned out. But issm.org, and that's how you find it. So that's it. That's it for today. I don't know how many people watched. I know I messed it up. I messed it up something fierce having that. This is way above my pay grade, I have to tell you. And so now I'll download it, I'll edit it, I'll put it back up, and it won't be too bad. Okay? I don't know what happened there. Oh, my mouse wandered over. The connecting thing. Okay, well, have a great day, and I'm going to stop streaming. I'm John Miglautsch for the International Society for Strategic Marketing and the WDMA.